What's up, nail crew? Welcome back. This is Polygel Tips and Tricks episode 4. We're going to do polygel using a tip and a dual form. At the end, you can decide which one you like better. Let's get into this video. Ladies, if you have not checked out episodes 1, 2, and 3 in this Polygel Tips and Tricks series, I will leave a link in the description box below. My description boxes always stay packed of really good information, so make sure you check that out. And then I'll have episode 5 coming a little bit later, so make sure you stay tuned for that. All right, ladies, let's dive on in. So these two nails I did the other day with acrylic. I really like how those turned out. And today we're going to do the same thing but with polygel. So let me go ahead and get these little nails on. So this is Miss Becky, y'all. Say hi to Miss Becky with the good hair, y'all. I keep my little nail tips in this container. It's just a Tupperware I got from like the dollar store or something. And now with the nail trainer hand, you get 2 sizes with the nail tips. You get like a large size that you put on all the other fingers. Then you get a small one that you use for the pinky. But I really I don't like the small one. The small ones I feel like pop out all the time. So I just try to use the big ones on all the fingers. So if you're asking or wondering like, what the hell, that's not the right size for the pinky. You see how they compare. I know. I just don't like the small ones. They don't stay in the actual socket. So I just like to use the big ones for all the nails. If you're wondering, that's why I do it like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and clip those into place. And now let's get started. I'm going to just clip down the nails because they're a bit long for what I'm going to do today. So if this was a real person, I would pretty much do the same thing. You want to cut their nails down, get them nice and even. And then you're going to push back the cuticles. So I'm using my cuticle pusher. It's the same one that I use in every video. I really like it. And this is the same kind of prep step that you would do with any kind of medium that's for nails. Then I'm going to use my drill and I'm going to file off the shine of the nail. I'm not filing to thin out the nail. I'm basically just filing to take off the shine, and that is it. I do a really good demonstration on how I prep the nail in one of the videos that I will leave a link to below. I think it's episode number 2, but I will have the link below, so make sure you check that out if you want to know how to prep your nails, okay? All right, so now let's get started with the polygel and the dual form. I'm going to do the dual form first. And here is just a picture of everything that you're going to need to do polygel nails with a dual form, okay? So I have my dual forms, I have my polygel, I have my prep and dehydrate, which is what I use in all my prep videos. I have my Mia Secret nail primer. You're going to need a container to put alcohol in, and therefore obviously some alcohol. I have my gel polish, which is my base coat. I have my brush, and then I have that little white makeup sponge. That's what I use to wipe my brush on, okay? So this is everything you're going to need to complete this set. Now let me show you what the brush looks like. If you're not familiar with a polygel brush, it has a nice soft gel brush on one side, and then on the other side is a spatula. And so the spatula is what you would use to cut off the polygel and to kind of scoop it into the dual form. Now this is what the dual form looks like. I have a whole video dedicated to just dual forms. So if you have not checked that out, check it out. I tell you which one is my favorite brand, and I demonstrate a few of them for you. So if you need to watch that video, I'll leave a link below. Now, when you size the dual form, you want to make sure that it fits from sidewall to sidewall. So once you place it on the person's fingernail, just rotate the finger back and forth and make sure that the dual form is not too short to where it's not covering the entire nail bed, okay? Once you've found all the sizes of dual forms for all of the fingernails, then you can set those to the side and dehydrate the nail. The purpose of dehydrating the nail is just removing all of the oils that your body naturally makes. Your nails secrete oils, and the prep and dehydrate just helps to remove it. Once your nails have been properly dehydrated, grab your nail primer. I'm using this brand from Mia Secret. Feel free to use any brand of primer that you already have at home, okay? So you're going to apply a thin layer to all the nails. Make sure not to get it on the cuticles, because if you're using certain primers, especially those with acid in it, it may burn your client or burn yourself, okay? So apply one thin layer to all the nails, and then once that dries, add a second layer. Okay, ladies, so your nails are prepped and they're dehydrated and they're primed and they're ready to go, okay? So grab your favorite base coat, and now we're going to apply a thin layer. Now you can apply the base coat in two different ways. The first way is to just do nice even strokes like I'm doing now. But if you still have lifting problems or that's not adhering correctly, then you could apply it with scrubbing little circles and just go back and forth and really like etch the gel into the nail plate, and that works very well. Okay, so try either method, and whichever works for you, that's what you stick with. Okay, go ahead and cure that for 60 seconds in the lamp. Once the nail's all cured, it should have a sticky layer. Most base coats have a nice sticky layer, and that's just so that the polygel or the hard gel can stick to it, okay? Now let's grab our polygel, and we're going to squeeze from the bottom of the tube, and we're going to get a nice dollop. Grab your little spatula and scoop that right off. So this is what it looks like. It should not be runny and dripping off the spatula, okay? Now, in order to close your tube, you're going to squeeze the bottom of the tube until you see some of that polygel reach the tip. That means that most of the air is out of the container. Then you're going to close the container with a little bit of that polygel right at the surface of the opening. All right, ladies, now it's time for the fun. Take your spatula with the polygel and just put it in the center of the dual form, okay? So it should look something like that. Now you want to wet your brush with the alcohol. So in my purple container, I have a small amount of isopropyl alcohol, and that is all that I'm using to spread my polygel. Now this polygel is sticky. It was sticking to the brush. So if that happens to you, like, don't freak out. It's fine. That just means you need a little bit more alcohol on your brush. So go ahead and moisten your brush again. If you pick up too much alcohol, just dab your brush off on your little makeup sponge, okay? Now you're just going to pat the polygel in place. I am doing a pat and motion. I am not sweeping it. I am not brushing it. None of that. You simply want to pat it, and the polygel should go where the brush tells it to go, okay? So if you find that it's turning white or it's turning milky or cloudy, that simply means that you're using too much alcohol, or the alcohol is too strong. So instead of maybe 50% alcohol, you're using 70% or 90%. So just try to use a lower strength percent of alcohol. It could also turn white or milky or cloudy if you're using acetone and or slip solutions that contain acetone. So just be careful of that. Now, once you've filled your dual form with the polygel and you're happy with the length and everything looks good, go ahead and place it on the bed of the nail. You're going to start at the back of the nail, which is where the cuticle is, and lightly press it onto the entire nail plate. Do this with very light pressure because you don't want all of the polygel that you've just created in this dual form to seep out of the dual form. You want the polygel to stay contained in the dual form, because if you put too much pressure, you're going to ruin that apex. It's going to become flat. And now instead of having a nice built nail, you're going to have a very, very thin nail, and it's going to break. So don't apply too much pressure, okay? Now, if you have a little bit of polygel that oozes on the sides, just grab your brush, dip it in your alcohol, and just slightly sweep around the sides. Again, you should not have too much cleaning up to do, because if you do, you applied way too much pressure. Another thing that I find very important is for you to flip the hand over and make sure that the underside of the nail is just as smooth as the top, okay? If it is, you're good to go. Go ahead and pop it in the lamp and cure it for 60 seconds. Now, if it's not smooth, dip your brush in a little bit of alcohol and just smooth it out the same way that you did when you were putting it in the dual form. Once your nail is fully cured for 60 seconds, pop it out of the lamp, feel it. Once it has cooled off, that means the dual form is ready to be popped off. It should come right off just like that. I love that part. I love that part. All right, so the nail is done. You have created a full nail. Feel the underside to make sure that it's cured all the way through. It should not be sticky. And then you're just going to file your nail. So now you see me just going ahead and filing it into shape. This part is pretty standard, so I'll go pretty quick on that. Now I just want to show you ladies something. This is very important. I'm going to flip the hand over. You should be able to see where the nail is and where the polygel is. If the polygel is coming over the nail and touching the fingertip, that means when you put the dual form on, you pressed too hard and the nail now at the apex is way too thin and it will break, okay? So if you find that your polygel nails are breaking and they're breaking right there at the apex, that means you press too hard when you put the dual form on, okay? Alrighty, ladies. Now we're going to grab our cuticle pusher again and just push back the cuticles one more time. Just make sure that if you got any little speck of polygel on the cuticles, now is your chance to go ahead and remove it, all right? Then we're going to grab a buffing block and file the nails with a buffing block. They should be smooth already, so you don't need an E-file for this, and you should not need a coarse grit file. A buffer should be fine. If you use a file that is too coarse, you will leave scratches in your nail. So this is what the nail should look like. Look at your nail from side to side. Look at it from all angles. If the nail is too thin, at this point you want to add a second layer to build up the thickness, okay? Now in my next video, I am going to show you how to add a second layer with something other than polygel. All right, so polygel is very expensive. The tubes are small. If you need a thicker nail, you don't necessarily have to use your polygel. So stay tuned for that. I'll post it in the near future. Now we're going to grab our makeup sponge, the same one that we've been using the whole time, with a little bit of alcohol on it. And we're just going to remove all the filing and dust from the nail. It should look something like this, nice and pretty. And now we're going to top coat it. I'm using this gel-like non-white top coat. It's not my favorite, but it is very good to practice with. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to apply a thin layer to the entire nail. And then because I want it to be clear, I'm just going to add a little bit of clear polish on the underside. And that really allows you to see through the nail. So I went ahead and cured that for 60 seconds. And I applied a second coat. And this is what the nail looks like, okay? Now I'm just applying a little bit of cuticle oil, massaging in Miss Becky's cuticles. And that's it, ladies. Like, you've created a whole nail with a dual form and polygel. Now, let's move right into doing polygel with a tip. All right, ladies, so this is everything you would need to do polygel nails with a tip. It's all the same things that you would need for the dual forms, except you need tips, obviously, and glue. All right, so grab all those supplies and let's get started. Now, the nail was already filed and the cuticles were pushed back. Now I am applying the tip with a little bit of glue, okay? So we're going to apply the tip to the nail and we're going to hold that in place. I got it on a little bit crooked, but we're going to fix that. So just ignore that, okay? All right, so now once the tip is glued to the nail, grab your hand file or your E-file and we're just going to file over the tip just to make sure that it's flushed with the actual nail bed, okay? Because if it's raised, it'll show through the polygel, especially if you're using a clear polygel like we're going to use today, okay? So now it's nice and even, and we're going to cut the nail down. Miss Becky does not want super long nails. We're just going to trim that down, and I'm going to do this into more of like a stiletto shape. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that now. Just go ahead and cut it now because it makes it easier to get it into the shape you want it now versus at the end. But you are welcome to do it any way you want. This is just easier for me, okay? So I'm just going to file that into shape. And I have a nice pointy stiletto nail. This is what Miss Becky likes. So I have my nice stiletto nail. And we are going to now grab our same prep and dehydrate. And we're going to apply 2 thin layers to all of the nails. And just like before, once the prep and dehydrate has dried, we're going to use our primer and apply 2 thin layers to all of the nails. So we're just going to apply 1 layer, let that dry, and then go back and apply a second layer. Now the same rules apply here, ladies. Try to keep the primer on the nail bed, not around to the skin, not on the cuticle, not on the sidewalls, all right? And then we're gonna grab our polygel and our little brush and spatula, and we're gonna get started. So I have my little purple cup right there in the back. It has 50% isopropyl alcohol in it. I have my little white makeup sponge right there to wipe my brush off. And now I am squeezing the polygel from the bottom up and just trying to get a little bit of polygel out. It is so thick, it does not want to come out. There we go. All right, so I got my polygel. Grab your little spatula and scoop it right off. I think I might have a little bit too much, but we'll see what happens, okay? So apply that to the middle of the nail, just like that. Not too close to the cuticle, okay? And we're going to go ahead and moisten our brush just a little bit. If you get too much alcohol on your brush, dab it off on your makeup sponge because you don't want it too wet, okay? Then we're just going to pat this polygel in place. We're not brushing, we're not sweeping, we're not scooping. We are patting, okay? And the important thing here is you want to pat around the cuticle area and the sidewalls of the nail, okay? So that's where we're gonna spend most of our time. If that is not right, your nails are going to lift, honey. Not only will they lift, but you have a potential of getting fluid, water trapped underneath your nail. And then, honey, you will get a fungus. So take your time on this part. Pat all around the cuticle and the sidewalls. Make sure that it is flushed. Make sure that it is flat. Make sure that it is all sealed in. Once that is taken care of, then you can start in the middle of the nail and now brush down the polygel to the tip of the nail. So the sidewalls in the cuticle is going to take the most time and energy. Once you've got that all squared away, then the rest should be fairly simple, okay? So just continue to pat down the rest of the polygel into place. All right, nice soft patting motions, not too hard, not too much of a sweeping motion. Now it looks like I may have gotten too much, so what I'm going to do is just grab it off the end. That's it. And I'm going to put it in this little container and I'm going to use it for another finger. So don't throw it away. By all means, just save it. Save it, and when you get to another nail, then that's the first little dollop that you use. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And now I'm just going back to the nail and I'm just patting everything down because the smoother that it is now, that's less finish filing for you to do later. Once you cure it in the lamp, you got what you got. So if it's hard and lumpy, then honey, you're going to be spending way too long filing. So the good thing about this polygel is that you could really perfect it before you cure it, okay? So once you're done, just take a look at the nail from all angles. Make sure that it is smooth from side to side. Look at, from the top of the nail to the side of the nail. Once you like the way it looks, go ahead and cure that for a full 60 seconds. Once the nail has been cured for 60 seconds, you probably just need a little bit of touch-up filing to do, but not much, okay? And the top of the nail should be nice and smooth, so all you need is a buffing block. If you have to use a hard grit file, then you might get scratches in the nail, so a soft buffer is pretty much recommended for polygel. Now, once the nail has been fully buffed and you like the shape, dust off all of that extra dust and filing and things like that. Grab your makeup sponge with some alcohol on it and wipe off all the dust. And now we are ready to put on some clear polish. So the clear coat that I'm going to use is the same one that I used for the other finger. It's this gel-like top coat. This is my practice top coat. I would not use this on my normal sets, but it is good, like I said before, to practice with, okay? So just like we did on the dual form nail, I'm going to apply a thin layer underneath the bottom of the nail, and that just allows you to see through the nail a little bit better. So far, they look the same, guys. Like, I got a dual form nail and I have a tip nail, both done with the same polygel, and they look the same. So let's go ahead and cure that for 60 seconds. And this is what it looks like fresh out the oven. They look the same. They really do. Let's apply some of this cuticle oil and rub in Miss Becky's cuticles. And let's just take a little closer look. All right, so which one do you guys like better? The ring finger is Polygel with the dual form. And then the pinky finger is Polygel with a tip. Now you could see that little line from where the tip was glued on. But other than that, I'm telling you, like, they really look the same. And let's look at the underside of the nail. You see that? They should look the same. You should not have polygel oozing or seeping past the point of the fingernail onto the tip. And when I first started with polygel, ladies, that happened to me. That happened to me all the time. So I know that one of you guys are making that same mistake. It's only because you just press that little dual foam on too much. So just once you fix that problem, you'll be good to go. Now I'm just showing you a side view. Now both of these nails are thinner than I personally like. So like I said, I'll be showing you how to add a second layer to your polygel nails in another episode, okay? So that will be episode 5. Stay on the lookout for that. All right, ladies, so your nails are done. They look amazing. I just want to show you guys 2 more quick little tips, all right? So when you're done with your polygel, you want to squeeze out all the air. I'm telling you, it is very important. Otherwise, you're going to get bubbles in your polygel. So what I like to do is get a toothpaste key. It comes in packs of maybe 4 or 5 on Amazon or eBay for about $5 or $6, okay? So put the toothpaste key on the back of the polygel and just keep wiggling it up, pushing it up until you can see the polygel at the tip of the opening. So I'm just pushing all that air out until I can get a little bit of polygel to come to the surface. Once you see the polygel at the surface, go ahead and cap it. And now look, all the polygel is at the top of the container. There's no air in it, and you're ready to go for your next application. The second tip I have for you is how to clean your dual forms. So you're going to grab that same cup that you had earlier, the one that you were dipping your brush in. Grab that one, put your dual form in it, throw a little bit of alcohol on top, let it sit for a few minutes, and then wipe out the dual form. You're just going to clean off all that gel residue, and then that way the dual forms are ready for your next set. All right, ladies, that is it. That's all I have for you today. I hope you liked this video. I had so much fun making it. The nails, I think, turned out very well. I cannot wait to show you the next video I have on how to do a second layer. That's going to be so much fun because I'm going to give you guys so many different options on how to save money on polygel while still making your nail look thick and strong, all right? Also, if you want to know what's new in my life, you can follow me on Facebook, you can follow me on Instagram, you can follow me on Snapchat, and now I even have Twitter. So go ahead and follow me and just get all up in my business. Let's just be friends, all right? All right, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know which one was your favorite. Do you like polygel with dual forms, or do you like polygel and tips? Let me know. I like them both. I can't even lie. I like them both. Let me know which one you like. All right? See you guys next time. Peace.